Yeah, and so as promised, I am back again with advanced childhood experiences. It sounds very good in my head, so I'm really going to try and explain it as simply as I can so that you understand. And so let me start with the goal of parenting. The goal of parenting is to bring up your child in such a way that they can leave you successfully at the right age. So even if your child is 2 years, 1 month, 10 years, 18 years, you're looking to equip them with a skill set that they can go out there and live successfully without you at the right age. Proverbs 22 says that bring up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. So whatever training that we are giving our children, we are looking at them in the future. And many a times as parents, we find ourselves parenting for the moment. And either because we don't know, or at the back of our minds, we know, yes, we are parenting our children to leave us, but it is not very obvious. And so it's looking at the goal of parenting to parent your child to leave you successfully. And then you work with the goal in mind. So that as I'm bringing up this 2-year-old, let me have a vision or a mental picture of them as adults. And so that I'm working with this 2-year-old, but in my mind, I know this is the kind of adult that I want to see. So that helps you take advantage of every moment that you have with your child so that you equip them with a skill set that is going to see them in the future successfully. What am I talking about? What kind of a skill set? This child should have, remember, this is your family of origin. This is the family of origin that this child is growing up in. The family of origin is the foundation for every individual. Family of origin is the family that brings you up, no matter what that looks like. And its impact is great, even to you as an adult. And so the skill set that the family of origin, your parents, or even you as a parent should equip your child with has to do with beliefs, has to do with values, has to do with financial literacy, has to do with a world view. How does the world view the world? Or how do you view the world? Is the world a safe place, or does somebody show up in the world like a victim? Or starts looking for reasons why they think they don't belong to the world? And if by the way, if you look for a reason why you don't belong, you will find it. The skill set has to do with chores, has to do with tasks, has to do with cooking, has to do with completing tasks. For example, when the child is told to clean their room, they should be able to bring to clean their room, because that staying in that task to complete it speaks into other areas of their lives. Like, for example, in future, they realize that in relationships, when there's a little trouble, that does not mean now you jump out. Stay in. It gives them the staying power to come and complete, anything that they start. The skill set will have resilience, will teach your child to be resilient. Resilience means bouncing back. That when I fall and I fail, that doesn't mean that I'm done. I failed, let me learn from my mistakes. Because in every failure, there's a lesson. And failure does not mean that I quit. Failure just means I made a mistake and then I need to learn from my mistake and start again or move on from where I fell from, you know. And this is just a nutshell of the kind of skill set you want to give to your child before they leave your home. But many times, all this is lost because many parents are wounded from their own childhood. And we say that you parent the way you are parented. I don't know about you, but many African parents had this thing where they use paradoxical talk. They are saying one thing, but they mean another thing. And one of the things that I like using, you'd hear something like, I've gone to the market, burn the baby. And of course, it didn't mean that you go and put the baby on fire. No, it meant you take care of the baby. And that kind of talk really hurt. Or you are carrying a thermos, taking it to the kitchen, you accidentally tripped and fell. And then your parent will tell you, go and take all the other ones that are in the wall unit. Then you used to have wall units and break all of them. And it really stung and hurt as a child because now you'd be covered in shame because of an accident and there is no repair when that happens. And so you parent the way you are parented. And many of us as parents are carrying wounds all the way from our childhood and we are transferring them to our children because wounded people wound others and injured people injure other people. And in some of the homes, we are just passing on brokenness because brokenness begats brokenness. Adverse childhood experiences are 10 very hurtful experiences that happen to us under 18 years. We have emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. And you don't want to imagine how many people have been sexually abused as children, but they have nobody to tell. And so those are wounds they carry with themselves. Emotional abuse has to do with things like that paradoxical talk. Physical abuse has to do with overpunishment, where some mothers were so hurt that when a child did something wrong, they would hurl an iron box at them or take a piece of firewood that has fire and throw at a child, because of something wrong the child has done, or over beating for no reason, or even if there's a reason, when it was done over and then there's no repair again, that would really emotionally and physically injure the child. And these are wounds that are there in us, and they are just, festering because they are not being processed. So sexual, physical, emotional abuse. Then we have physical and emotional abandonment. And this would happen when some parents were there, present, but there was no emotional connection. And I'm not here, I'm shaming our parents that they didn't do a good job. I'm bringing awareness. And I'm saying that they did the best with what they knew and with what they had. Remember, most of our parents were brought up by Mau Mau, their parents who were in the Mau Mau War. And at that time, the world was really not a very happy place to be in. And there were all these other vices that were happening to their own parents, and the same brokenness was passed. And it is being passed. And it is being passed. And remember, patterns don't lie. And so we are saying it's time to address this woundedness so that as a parent, you're parenting from a healthy place and not a place of woundedness. And so those are 5 that happen to the person personally. Those are 5 wounds. Physical, emotional, sexual abuse, and then emotional and physical neglect or abandonment. And then we have now others that happen in the household. This would be violent treatment within the home. This has to do with GBV, gender-based violence. It has to do with intimate partner violence. The others are mental illnesses in the family, because a parent who is mentally unwell will not be able to bring up their child without wounding them. And so there'll be a lot of woundedness and brokenness for this child, and the child will not understand. The other one is separation and divorce. This has a major impact on a child because the child always blames themselves as to why their parents separated. And many times the adult is so hurt and wounded that they forget that even the child is dealing with his or her own wounds due to that separation. And unfortunately, a child will always blame themselves when the parents separate or divorce. The child thinks that it is my fault. I'm not good enough. That's why mom left. That's why dad left. And so these are some of the 10 adverse childhood experiences that happen in the family of origin, that if you as an adult, when you think back, this is the kind of environment you grew up in, these things affect you even now as an adult. They'll affect you in your relationship. They'll affect you even as a parent because of the wounds. These are emotional, deep emotional wounds that continue are hurting you and hurting all those that are around you. There's a test called ACEs assessment, ACES assessment, that has 10 questions on the same. And if you can find it online and do the ACEs assessment test, you'll find that you're scoring 1, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, and that's a good place. And most people, some score 3 out of 10. But if when you do that test, you find that you scored 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 out of 10, that means you're really wounded. And this is a wound that you cannot be able to deal with by yourself. It's important that you seek therapy. And so I pray that you're going to do that test and then seek the help that you need, if need be. And so what is the impact of these ACEs to an adult? They happen when you are a child, but what is their impact as an adult? One, people who have gone through this have very poor and very toxic relationships. They are never able to be in good relationships because they are triggered all the time by their partner. If the other impact is that there's a lot of mental illness that comes from this woundedness. There's very risky health behaviors that come from that woundedness in the attempt to seek, to soothe, and to cope. Some of the coping mechanisms that people develop don't end up helping them. Some could be being very sexually promiscuous while looking for a solution to the pain that somebody is feeling. The other impact is that it brings in depression, it brings in addictions. And with addictions here, it's not just alcohol we are talking about. It could be sexual addiction. Yeah, there's a thing like that. It could be work addiction. People who are always at work. It could be relationships addiction, where somebody is just they just move from one relationship to another, to another, to another. It also brings in another impact of ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, is that somebody's life is cut short by 20 years because of autoimmune diseases, the diseases that come because of too much stress. And then all this stress changes even how the brain works. It changes the brain. It also changes how the body responds to stress, because the body is made to respond to stress for just a very short time, and then the body has time to recover. But when this stress is continuous, then it changes how the body responds to stress, and that's what brings the diseases. And so it is important then that we heal. And most of us have gone through 1, 2, 3, or the things that I lined up, or that you'll find in the ACEs assessment. But then how do we heal? Is there even hope? Yes, there is hope, and somebody can heal. Number one, awareness. This awareness, go on Google and research adverse childhood experiences, impact of adverse childhood experiences in adulthood, and read for yourself and see, so that you have awareness, because you already said that we struggle most with those things that we lack awareness of, and you don't need to struggle. Awareness is going to be there. Secondly, you can heal from this by accept your woundedness, accept that your parents wounded you. And by this, it's not to bring shame to them. Remember, we are to honor our parents and we honor them, yes. But you also get to see them from a point of the flawlessness and the lack of perfection that they have and what they also went through. I know a long time we were taught that parents are put on this pedestal. And when you see them from that angle, then it makes life very difficult, because you can't reconcile this parent who wounded you and the parent that you've put on the pedestal. But when you bring them to a place of them being human, you're able to see their imperfections and even empathize with some of what the parents, went through to make them what they are today. And then from that point of acceptance, then you are able now to start the healing journey. Accept that there are problematic patterns that you have seen in your family, that you're saying that this ends with me, it doesn't go further than this. Accept that you are also wounded, and you want to heal your woundedness so that you don't keep wounding your children as well. For example, if you're a mom and you come in and the baby doesn't have a sweater and it is raining, the minute you start all that noise because of the baby not having a sweater, that it changes the dynamic and the mood of the home. You see, it stops being about the sweater and it becomes about you and the problems and the stress you have that you're not able to deal with properly. So those kind of things will also bring awareness to you and bring the acceptance. And then accept that you're a parent who also needs enrichment on the parenting journey. So that as you're getting awareness, and there are all these programs that are everywhere on good, effective parenting that you're able to plug in. Then you can also heal by choosing effect stress management skill set that works. And in this, we are going to look at the 4 components that make the human. We have the bio, that's the physical. What are you doing for your physical body to release stress? Because stress is normally stored in the body. So exercise is one thing. Good exercise, a brisk walk, a run, a jog, the gym. That's one way to have some physical relief of the stress that could be in the body, so that you remove it and get the body feeling good. Eating a well-balanced meal. And a well-balanced meal is a well-balanced meal. We are talking about portioning, feast carbohydrates, feast proteins, and feast vitamins. Drinking lots of water, that helps your physical as well. Connecting with nature. Nature has a way of just grounding us and just making us just be in awe of God's creation, and just that fresh oxygen hitting you and breathing in, Karura walks, something, connecting with nature, and other physical things that you can do. Then we have that's the bio, and then also taking care of your physical body. If there's an illness that needs treatment, please seek the right treatment. Then you have the cycle. Your mind. How are you taking care of your mind? What are some of the mindsets that need to go, and others that you need to bring in? You need to have a growth mindset, a mindset that is willing to be changed, not one that is so fixed that nothing else can pass it. Things like mindfulness. Mindfulness means present moment awareness, where right now I am looking at the thing that I am doing now. Some of us live so much in the future that we miss out on the present. And before you know it, your children are all grown and gone, and you missed out building a relationship with them as you are dealing with future problems. I'm not saying that we don't plan for the future. Of course, we plan for the future and we bring God in. But how about this moment? What is happening right now? Do you even enjoy the meal that you're eating? Or you're eating and you're on your phone and thinking about the shares that you need to buy that you haven't bought? Then you miss a moment to sit with your children and your family and just have dinner together. Take care of your mind. Distress, journal, where you're journaling your thoughts. Yeah, I know men don't like doing this, but it helps. You can even have a voice journal, maybe, if it helps, where you're voicing out your thoughts, your emotions, how those thoughts provoke your emotions, and how those emotions then uh, affect your behavior. Just some ways that you can get things off your mind. Talking to a friend, a friend who will hold the space for you to be able to express yourself and support you in return, and a safe friend, not just anybody, a safe friend. Then we have that's biopsycho. Then the social support. Who are your friends? They say you will be the sum total of the 5 people you spend time with. Who are these people that you're spending time with? What is the village that you have created that will be able to support you and your children, so that you're not doing all these things by yourself, even as a couple? Who are those people that are there for you? Again, safe people who are there for you to support you. We need these villages. We need these support systems, so that we are not out there by ourselves trying to deal with life alone. And then the spiritual part, definitely need God, and asking God to come and help us deal with these adverse childhood experiences that are affecting us, that affected our past generation, and now might affect our that generation. Asking God to help us forgive, because some of the wounds are really deep. To help us forgive, and remember, you're forgiving for yourself, not for the other person. And forgiveness is a choice, and just having God just nourish us and be the father that, the best example of a father that we need, even when maybe sometimes our earthly fathers failed us. And so those are the four components that need to be looked into when you're looking for effective stress management skills, not just one. Sometimes we focus so much on the physical, so we are in the gym doing all the exercises, but we are not looking at the other components. Or sometimes we are so caught up in the spiritual part that we are not taking care of the other part. So it has to be the four. And then, of course, there are issues, things like seeking therapy to heal your inner child, seeking therapy to help you heal the essays, to be able to even identify them and be able to move on. There's also something like emotional regulation, not emotional regulation, it's called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence that teaches you how to be self-aware about your emotions, to have emotional regulation, to be able to manage your emotions and those of others, to have empathy, to be able to put yourself in the shoes of others and how they may be feeling. There's motivation in emotional intelligence, where you're harnessing your emotions to direct them to the thing it is that you want to do. And those are ways and areas where you grow into. And like emotional intelligence, this is it's online. This is information you can get online, and you keep yourself with it. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope to do something more extensive where essays are concerned, just to bring awareness and to help people heal, because it's there and it's just that there's no awareness. But I trust and hope this was helpful. Share with a friend, subscribe even as you help us grow. Yours truly, Vicky, marriage and family therapist. Thank you.